Ever wonder what neglect looks like under the bonnet? Here's Exhibit A, an oil filter that's more sludge than a filter. And Exhibit B, an air filter that could suffocate a leaf blower. A perfect recipe for turbo funeral. Welcome back to another everyday value mechanic video. In today's episode we are working on 2019 Mercedes-Benz C-Class Coupe C250d with a 2.1 liter diesel engine. Engine code for this car is OM651.921. The car came in with a lack of power. I have already diagnosed the issue and it turns out both turbos have failed. Missed oil changes led to block oil passages, starving the turbos of lubrication until they finally gave up. So I start by removing the engine cover, and next we need to take this ECU, but not completely off, just to fold it. And it held in place by 4 E8 bolts. Once those bolts are removed, there's a couple clips that's holding the wiring loom in place. And also we need to, at the same time, we can take this intake cowl off as well. Now proceed to disconnecting the air mass flow sensor. And there's another sensor underneath it. Once those wirings is out of the way, the all ECU can be folded on the side. If you prefer taking off, you can taking off, it's more up to you. I'm just gonna fold it on the side. Also this O2 sensor harness, we put it on the side. Now we can open this Jubilee clip for the boost pipe that goes from the oil filter housing to the turbo. Once all that removed, the oil air filter housing can come off, and it holds in by these grommets into there. Next, there's a vacuum line we can remove, and also this breather pipe. Just something to mention, these breather pipes sometimes can get brittle. And so when you're removing them, just try not to bend them too much, as they can crack and snap. So one side is with the like a push clips, another side it just goes on as a rubber hose without any clips. So I'm just using a pick to pry it off, little tension towards myself, and the breather pipe is off. Next, need to disconnect these oil lines from the air filter housing bracket, and also 3 bolts for the bracket itself. Now the bracket can come off. Next, there's another Jubilee clip for that boost pipe that goes from the air filter to the turbo intake. So we loosen that Jubilee clip off, and once that is done, the boost pipe can come off. Or intake pipe, not a boost pipe, intake pipe. So now 17mm spanner for the exhaust temperature sensor. These sensors can get quite stiff from the heat cycles, so I recommend using a heat gun to heat it up, and at the same time apply pressure to unscrew it. And you're gonna feel it at some point, it will pop open easily. Well, at least that was my case. Keep the fire there so it doesn't get seized and rip some threads out. So something to remember, as you just heat it up, it's gonna be hot. So keep that in mind, don't try to grab it. Next, there's the smaller turbo actuator. Vacuum line, we can disconnect it, fold it on the side, and 17mm and 14mm for the oil feed pipes. I did not mean to hit the camera. You don't need to hit the camera. Now there's a 13mm for the oil feed pipes. I already cracked the closer one, and now the other one. Something to remember also, these screws, these bolts For the oil, they have washers, one at the top and one at the bottom. So here you can see the washer stays there. I'm gonna pick it up. The other one fell inside for me, so I'm gonna have to fish that out. Oh, there's the other one. And now the larger turbo vacuum line. And 13 mil for the catalytic converter bracket to the turbo. We also need to remove auxiliary belt, as we're gonna need to remove the alternator, and alternator is run by this belt. So now is a good chance to remove it. If you want, again, you can take it completely out. My occasion, I just fold it on the side and leave it there, as it's not in our way. Now there's a 12 mil socket for this catalytic converter bracket. That is so weird. This is only 12 mil nut in a whole car, I think. As we're gonna be touching the alternator, it is always recommended to disconnect the battery to not short circuit electrical components or shock yourself or hurt in any way. For that, we needed to take the cabin filter or pollen filter off, I disconnected positive terminal and put the cover, so prevent anything from touching it. Now there's another breather line or vacuum line we need to disconnect, and also don't lose this clip. There's a wiring loom, and we disconnect it and we can fold that all aside. Now this part, I was not very sure that I needed, as I knew at the bottom there's a DPF filter, and I thought as soon as I'm gonna move DPF filter, all this DPF pressure sensor is gonna come loose as well, or it's gonna be hanging. So I thought I need to remove it, but if you're doing same job, I don't think you need to remove it. You can just leave it as it is without disconnecting any of these two pipes or the wiring loom itself. But if you do, here's how I did it. Next, we proceed underneath. We need to remove these under trays off. And that's one off. And that's another one. And on the Mercedes, there's plenty 8mm screws that hold the under trays inside. Now we can remove this bracket that holds catalytic converter and DPF filter together. Quite awkward position to put any gun or anything, but we can address this a little bit later. So once that is removed, there's the DPF pressure for the pressure sensor exhaust line, and it's by the 19mm. So it's also safe. If you're not scared, you can use fire, as there's plastic around and too close to the chassis. I decided to go ahead and try to remove it, and in my occasion it just came easy off without damaging the thread. Now there's 13mm for this bracket from the DPF to the exhaust flex pipe. And we open both sides of this bracket. On the side, and now two 13mm nuts last that hold the DPF in place. So once these are removed, the DPF can come out. There's like a thread holder bracket that holds both 13s together. So once that's done, the DPF can come out. And this pipe holds into this clamp there, so something to keep in mind. Now it is hard to show as this car is not much space to put camera or hands, but basically I'm disconnecting these sensors so I could get more space to the alternator. This is a temperature sensor for the exhaust. Now while we're down here, we can also good time to drain the oil. And this was my first suspicion that something was wrong with the engine, as the oil is quite thick. It's not very hot engine, also to keep in mind, but if we look at this sludge here at the bottom from the screw, yeah, the car shouldn't have these things if you keep them maintaining properly. So at that stage I knew we were up for a couple of surprises. Also now we can move a couple coolant lines and the air lines or boost pipe lines from the bottom, as we're gonna need to move alternator from to that side, and there's this boost pipe that's on our way. There's another Jubilee clip that we need to loosen up, one bolt that holds it in place, and this clip that goes to the turbo that needs to be open. And once that's done, we can push the boost pipe down. Once that's done, the pipe can come out. Now we can proceed to the first awkward bracket on this turbo. That is a mirror projection. We can see we can remove these 3 bolts. So that's 1 bolt removed. That's the second one. And the last bolt is going to come out with the bracket itself. Now there's another bracket that holds the alternator and these 3 bolts. These we're going to have to remove. They are again our E10 bolts. This is a picture from the internet, slightly different bracket, but I think you understand how it roughly looks. There's a smaller or shorter bolt, I should say, that goes right into the turbo. Right there is awkward to get it, but once you crack it open, it's easy to unscrew it with the fingers. It's just your hands is hard to get there. Now the 2 upper bolts for the alternator. So again, once you crack them, they come out quite easy. You can unscrew them with the fingers. That's the second bolt off. So the alternator top part is off. Before we lift the car up, let's change the oil filter. Well, what do we have here? Upon seeing this, I had a clear answer what caused the turbo to fail, or both turbos to fail. So out with the old and new with the in. Once the oil stops dripping, we can put the sump plug back inside. And now we can continue with our alternator, the 2 bottom bolts. So I'm using the 10mm multi-spline ratchet spanner to open those E10 bolts, as they do exactly same job as you would use the socket or spanner, that is E10. But with the ratchet spanner I found it more quicker way. Plus it is the flexi head, so I can fold the ratchet any way I wanted to. And that's alternator is removed. There's one plug on the back of the alternator. That is for the smart charging. It is a blue color with one wire. Now I tried to move the alternator more further, but I couldn't, and then I understand I need to remove this wiring loom bracket. It's also torque C10, and again in this situation I'm using just a 10mm multi-spline ratchet with the flexi head. And once you got alternator in a way, you can see the output bolt, or nut should I say. It's 13mm. Use the long extension, and we can undo the nut and disconnect the wire. Once the nut is removed, you can just leave the cable and disconnect from the alternator. There's another coolant line here, this one. I thought I'm not gonna need to remove it, but later in the video I will remove it. So here's the bracket that I was telling you about earlier. There's one cable is attached to it, so once that removed, the bracket can come out. Now we got access to another bracket for the alternator, both oil return pipes and the oil feed pipe. So a couple more bolts to remove here. I'm just showing you this way, as once I put my hand inside there, I can't really film it what I'm doing it. So I'm just showing. Next I'll remove this oil feed pipe, not there. And then this bracket, and after that oil return pipe bolts. Just the two of them that goes to the cylinder block, as the turbo gonna come out with those return pipes. And on this side we also have one bracket. There's one bolt here and another bolt that goes right to the turbo, right there. So as you can see here, there's a small opening just right for mechanic's hand, and I really couldn't put the camera inside to film it how I exactly doing, but I think you can understand that it's just to unscrew the bolt, that's all.
This is our oil feed pipe, and for that I use the 8mm to unscrew it.
And then there's Torx E8 bolts for the bolt return bolts for the oil return pipes. So that's one removed. That's another one removed. And the last thing on this is this last bracket is one bolt at the top that goes to the turbo, and two bolts that goes to the cylinder block.
See, the oil return pan bolts are both removed. And I'm just gonna proceed to the bracket, and I'm using 10mm.
So those bolts are Torx C10, and again I'm using a socket with the 10mm to open those bolts. And once all three bolts are removed, the bracket can come out. Also there's one of the wirings are attached to it, so as you're gonna do the job you'll see that you need to disconnect that as well. And on this side for the bracket, I cracked the upper bolt with the spanner, and then I'm using the ratchet to unscrew it more quicker. Upper bolt. And now we got also more easier access to the bottom bolt for that bracket. And once both bolts are removed, the bracket can come out. Now we can go back to the top, and here you can see we can remove this oil feed pipe. When wiggling back and forth, it should come out. So I'm gonna proceed to clean it as I don't have a replacement for it, and it is always advised to replace them. And a couple more things for the turbo. From the exhaust manifold, there's a Torx E12 bolts. 3 of them. Here I try to wiggle the turbo back and forth to see if I can get it out, but actually there's this coolant pipe that's on the way, so and I can't push it towards myself to unhook it from this manifold. So on some Mercedes I did it, the pipe was not there, so this is slightly different version on the smaller car maybe, and I needed to disconnect it. But prior I'm gonna disconnect the coolant pipe, I'm gonna secure the turbo back in place so it doesn't press against some wirings or some other brackets and can get damaged. Just gonna secure it. There's the clips that holds the pipes in place. Sorry, you can't see what I'm exactly doing, but basically just disconnecting this clip from this coolant pipe. Make sure you move alternator aside as the coolant is gonna leak out, and you don't really want to cover your alternator with the coolant. So that is one pipe removed. Oh yeah, also to mention to put something underneath to catch the coolant. That's another clip removed for that bigger pipe. And both pipes now removed, and in theory now that both turbos should be able to come out in one piece.
Yeah.
You remove this last bolt that I've put it in just to hold it in place. And some wiggling back and forth. I managed to get the turbo out.
Yeah.
Or should I say both turbos out at the same time. So this is how they come, all in one piece. And we just need to take the oil return pipes and the cut gasket that goes to the catalytic converter. So 4 bolts for the oil return pipe. So one pipe came straight away loose, other one has got grips to the turbo and don't wanna leave the turbo. Take all these smaller gaskets off, and I'm also gonna clean this pipe together with this pipe and the oil feed pipe that goes to the turbos. So this here you can see I cleaned them both. I used the brake cleaner, the WD-40 and the carbon cleaner, and at the end I use compressor just to make sure there's nothing there that could restrict the flow of the oil. It is always recommended to put new these pipes, but in this occasion customer supply parts himself, so whatever I can reuse it, whatever he gives me new I'm gonna use new. Last thing is this gasket for the catalytic converter. Again, I don't have a new one, so I'm just gonna reuse this old one. It's quite a soft, it is like a hard gasket, but at the same time it is soft compared to the screwdriver or hammer. So keep that in mind when you're trying to remove it, if you also have to reuse it. And now this can be given back to the customer, as he has surcharge for it and he will get some money back. Here we can see the new turbo, all assembled, or again, both turbos together.
Put this gasket back on. This turbo has a free play as well. Anyhow, what? So none of these screws is tightened. I think they left loose. So in case I don't think you can move this around. Can you? I don't think you can move it. It just fits correctly. So yeah, they left these bolts loose. Imagine without checking, you put it on, and all that work down the drain. So I'm gonna tie them. I'm gonna stick it here, like so. And now in theory the turbo is ready to go back inside.
What's weird was that I managed to remove both turbos in together. Not much hassle, but just little hassle. But I couldn't get this new turbo back inside. So I've decided to remove this.
Moments later.
So I got change of plan. I'll take this. I hope it's not some thermostat or something. Oh my god, that was something. Try to take this out when there's a turbo here, when you can't grab it. So I disconnected turbo again because you need to hook first the DPF, sorry, not the DPF, the cat on this bolt here. You can see it here. And then you can align it and adjust it the way you need it to do. So now, when the DPF is hooked on that bolt, now we can put the turbo back on.
Something to mention, do not tie this 12mm nut before you have completely tightened the bracket that goes from the catalytic converter to turbo. Otherwise this not gonna prevent turbo and cat align properly. So first tight this bracket. You can lose that 12mm just like finger tight, and then once this is tied, this bracket here, now you can tie this 12mm nut, and that should be all aligned properly. And this O2 sensor, I remove it because I thought that was the reason why I can't push the catalytic converter further away, so I can put the turbo in and then align it. But actually you don't need to remove it again. That's something I did extra. Well, you live and learn. So in the same time I put this DPF pressure sensor back inside and attach the brackets and the wirings, and also I put this O2 sensor. So these two things, DPF pressure sensor and this O2 sensor, was extra for me to remove.
Now I put this bracket with these two small bolts. It goes through here and right here. Now I'm gonna put the oil return pipe bolts. So now we can put the oil feed pipe, and it goes through here. And that's it. And here you can see that pipe. Here you can see the bolt is in, and I have tightened it. So now you can put the final bracket for the turbo as this one, and it goes right here like so. So the bracket is in. It's tightened. So the next step is to put this coolant plunge back inside. I tried to do it from the bottom, but it was quite hard, so now I'm gonna try the same thing from the top and see if it's gonna go a bit better. I also put the grease here, so it slides in better. It's somewhat in, I'll show you. Yeah. So I can see this here. There's one bolt here, one at the bottom, and one here. So I managed to put the top bolt in, and I'm using this through the turbo here. And the last bolt, I'll try to get it in with the magnet. So I managed to get that bottom bolt inside. Now I'm just tightening it. Now when that's done, I can try to now tight. This bolt here. Okay.
As I try to get the alternator back inside in its slot, I struggle a little bit with maneuvering it into the place to get the live wire onto it. So I decided to remove this coolant pipe as well, as I mentioned before that I will remove it later in the video. And once this pipe was removed, I can easily lift it upwards and get alternator into the place that I needed to attach this live cable to the alternator and put the 13mm nut on it.
So if you look here, these two bolts is for the alternator, and then here we're gonna have this bracket. That's two smaller bolts here and one to the turbo. And basically this bracket, this hook, it hooks onto this heat shelf here. So I try to so. I want to show you what I did here. Really hard to see, but basically I put this cable here and I connect this wiring here, and then there's another cable that I show you, this blue one, that is for the alternator here. I hope you guys see it. So this wire here, this cable is for the for this temperature sensor here that we can see inside. It's like so. I can put this bolt back on, all this wiring here.
So before we can tighten the bottom alternator bolts, first we need to locate the two upper ones that goes through that long bracket into the alternator and then tightens into the cylinder block.
So I put both alternator bolts. I'm not sure if you can see it. There, one is visible. And then there's, from that bracket, there's one more bolt that is like this, that screws into the turbo somewhere around this area, underneath it, the turbo. And the way to do it is to put your arm underneath here, like so, and then just to try to reach all the way here. See, where's the bolt? Here. And that bolt is located. I'm not sure if it's gonna be visible or not. I'm gonna put the camera. I don't know what you guys seeing there. Or what not. But it is somewhere back. Somewhere there. Okay. Smaller bolt is right. Now the upper alternator bolts. Now, before I lift the car back up, I'm also gonna install this bracket with these 3 bolts for the turbo. It sits like this.
One of my cousins here, like from my dad's side.
Yeah.
Far distance, yeah?
Now I need to put these 2 bolts. That goes into that long bracket. That is also for alternator bracket. Yeah. Yeah. Now I can put this thing in. So this bracket here, I'm not gonna tighten it just yet. Still a little bit. I'm not gonna tighten it just yet because we need to tie this bracket here. This is 13 mil. Done. Now I can tighten this DPF. exhaust flex pipe to the DPF, but prior I'm gonna put some that's there. Now I shove this in. And now I can put this bracket. And this vacuum pipe. So it goes bolt, washer, through the hose, through the pipe, and washer underneath it. But it sounds easier. Next, we can put exhaust temperature sensor.
If you ask why did I put the screwdriver underneath this temperature sensor, it was just to make sure there's a gap left after I tied this temperature sensor to the manifold, so it was not vibrating to the turbo. Now we can connect this breather or vacuum line back to the turbo. And I use a cutter just to clamp them together. Now the airbox housing bracket can go in. Now we can tie together these two oil feed pipes. And the brackets for these pipes that goes to the air filter housing bracket.
Yeah.
So once that's done, now we can put back the auxiliary belt. After auxiliary belt, we can locate the turbo boost pipe, and these Jubilee clips, and this bracket bolt, and also this coolant pipe also can be tightened back into place. Now I put the multi-purpose grease just to locate this coolant pipe into that coolant flange that we struggled earlier to remove it. And now the upper coolant pipe also put back the clip and click and it's in.
So you're gonna change the air filter as well. For now I'm using screwdriver T25.
And here, to my surprise, or should I say not anymore surprise, that the air filter was also haven't been changed for a very long time. You can see there's probably little to no air going through, and when you don't change your air filter, it creates pressure, like a back pressure, basically the turbo trying to suck itself closer, and that's why the internal bits start wearing out and the bearings wearing out, and hence you start getting the whistling noise in your turbos. Now this intake pipe can go back on. Push it on. Now this breather pipe. Its sensors, plugs and everything. Jubilee clip for the boost pipe, let's not forget that, and also this vacuum actuator for one of the turbos. Now the airbox housing there with the new airbox can go back inside. And locate this intake pipe and the MAF sensor. Tight the Jubilee clip. Now we can locate this O2 sensor back in its place. The last part also we putting back is the ECU. Now this intake cowl or intake pipe. Now we can put the fresh coolant. And also fresh oil. So at this stage I think this car needs multiple engine flushes to get everything out. But the customer contacted the turbo supplier advised not to do it, as they were scared that all the sludge buildup is gonna get into the turbo and it will damage the new turbo, which I don't think so would be the case. But yeah, I left that with the customer's decision, as obviously he gets the warranty for the turbo, not me. So I left the car running, checked for any leaks, make sure everything is dry, and also check for any fault codes. I put back the under trace, and at this stage just engine cover left. Double check the coolant level, check if it's a hot air, check the oil level. That wraps another episode from your everyday valued mechanic. Thanks for watching and supporting the channel, it really does mean a lot. If you found this video helpful, give it a like, it helps the channel grow and let me keep creating more content for you. See you in the next one, your valued mechanic out.